Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about the types of interviews held in Australia. As we all know, interview process is very daunting or a stressful event for many of us, whether it be a fresh graduate or an experienced professional. I would like to talk in three components. The first component is recruitment for contracting positions and recruitment or full-time permanent role for private sector organizations and recruitment for full-time permanent role for public sector organizations, because I've worked in these three areas. I've attended these three types of interviews. Without any further ado, let's get back into the topic. The first one, recruiting contracting positions. Contracting positions are those positions that are for short term. They can range from 6 weeks to 2 years. So this recruitment process I feel this is a bit straightforward and quick. So what happens is, when you apply for a position via the company website or through a job search website, sometimes through a job search website you may deal with the recruitment agencies. Recruitment agencies plays a very important role in Australia. They act as the consultants between the company looking for the candidate and the job seeker. So what they do is they pool the candidates and they interview the shortlist and send those candidates to the company looking for the candidate. And then the process begins up there, interviewing and then looking for the right candidate. So when I attended my first interview, when I applied for my first job, it was a contracting position for 3 months. And I applied through job search website called seek.com, and I got a call from recruitment agency called Robert Half International. And the consultant took a short interview over the phone for 10 to 15 minutes. Once she was satisfied with my performance, I was called for a face-to-face interview. And during that face-to-face interview, she asked me a number of questions, technical and situational based questions. Once I cleared that stage, then I was sent to their client or to the company looking for a candidate. Over there, the line manager interviewed me. Once she was happy with my performance, I was given the job. So this is how the contracting position recruitment goes, as far as I know. And the second type of interviews. The second type of interview process is for full-time permanent role for private sector organizations. This you can apply through a company website, the company looking for the job, or you can also apply through job search websites. Sometimes what happens is recruitment takes the lead on recruiting the candidate. Sometimes the companies advertise on their website and also on the job search website. So when it is dealt directly with the employer or the company looking for candidate, the process goes like this. You'll have a short interview over the phone, face-to-face interview, and you'll have face-to-face interview with your line manager, and then with another round with maybe the head of department or the chief financial officer, because I'm talking about from the accounting perspective. So you may have, if you are looking for an accounting, maybe looking for an IT position, maybe someone, the head of IT may interview you. And after that, the HR takes the lead, talking about salary and the benefits. Okay, this is through the company. And if it is through the agency, again, The same process follows for private sector organizations. So first you'll have a short interview over the phone, or sometimes may not be. So they straight away call you for face-to-face interview. Once you have with the recruitment agency, so what recruitment agents do is they shortlist the candidate. For example, for one position they got about 25 applicants. Maybe the company may not have the resources or time to go through that process. So recruitment agency does for them. So they shortlist maybe 3 or 5 candidates and send to the company for them to decide the top candidate or the best candidate. And then once the recruitment agency shortlist, and then you go into the company's recruitment area, where you may have interview with the line manager and with the head of department and the line manager, like a panel interview of 2 panel members and the HR. So this is how the private organization recruitment goes. And the third recruitment, the type of recruitment done for public sector organization is bit different. It's slightly different. So when you see the job advertisement for public sector organizations, along with your resume and cover letter, they also ask you for selection criteria. What is this selection criteria? Selection criteria is a series of questions asking you to demonstrate your skills and experience in a written format. So this is what the selection criteria is. So you may have questions ranging from 2 questions to 8 questions from my experience. Some organizations, they just give only 2 questions. And some organizations, they have a series of questions up to 8, such as relevant skills and experience in your industry, what sort of skills you have, and demonstrated knowledge of so and so act or standards, accounting standards, and demonstrated skills in maintaining relationship with key stakeholders. So you have to demonstrate, you have to show in writing that just putting down in writing that selection criteria looks for. And once they use that as the criteria to shortlist you for the interview. Once you're shortlisted, then they call you for the interview. And this interview process is a bit different because it is held by a panel of members. The panel could be from 3 to 4, depending on the role you are applying for. For example, couple of years ago, I attended for a role and which included 4 panel members. So I was the candidate and 4 people were sitting in front of me asking questions one after the other. A month ago, I attended an interview with the public sector organization and it was 3 panel members. But the common pattern I have seen in that panel members are: one is your line manager, one is the senior manager of that department, and the other one is totally independent. They are not linked to your department. They can be from any other profession as well. For example, I have seen for my position as an internal auditor, I have seen a physiotherapist sitting on the panel. So they are totally independent. So this is how the public sector organizations recruit their candidates. Once you are selected for the role, then the other process follows, such as meeting your HR and knowing about the salary and the benefits and all the negotiation. So this is how the overall process of the recruitment for contracting, full-time permanent role for private organizations and full-time permanent role for public sector organizations. And what differences I found in the interview attended in India and Australia. It's a type of questions. Yes. Because in India, when I attended, as soon as I finished my graduation, I attended an interview with Bank of America Continuum Solutions. So during that interview process, I had psychometric tests such as reasoning skills, testing my reasoning skills, and there was a group discussion. And after that, there was a technical round asking all the technical questions about your role, about your qualifications or your experience. And then after you are selected, then there would be an HR round. There was an HR round. But when it comes to the Australian version, it is slightly different. They focus questions more on the situational based questions. So for example, they give you a scenario. They tell you came across a difficult customer. How do you manage them? And that's situation based, and then they'll ask you how you respond to that situation. And another question is, you had to meet multiple deadlines at the same time. So how do you manage that? They give you a scenario. And also they say that, okay, if you have to change one thing in your current role, what would that be? And recently, as I told you 1 month ago, I have attended an interview. As part of my role, I talked to senior management, and they asked me a question on that. They said, for example, as an internal auditor, you put your recommendations to the senior management, and if the senior management is not happy with your recommendations or not willing to accept your recommendations, what would you do? These were the type of questions mostly focused on in all the interviews I attended. And they also ask technical questions, but not really too technical. They won't go really too technical as far as I remember in the interviews I have attended. And apart from this, they also do in Australia psychometric assessments. And there are some interviews, there are very few organizations that do a role play sort of interview process where they give you a role. For example, they ask the candidates who applied for the role to come on that day, and then they will ask you to play a role. For example, the other person acts as a customer and you act as an employee. So how do you respond? So you have to do an act and role play for that. So I have seen those ones very few in Australia. And apart from this, there are some sort of other interviews which are very casual interviews that you meet your potential employer over a cup of coffee or a lunch. These positions are mostly like headhunted, or you already know the potential employer, or the potential employer knows your skills and the experience. So they don't want to know more about you. So this is more of a casual nature interviews held in Australia. So these are the types of interviews, and those are the type of questions that are asked in the interviews I attended. So in Australia, most of them are based on the situations or behavior, how you respond. That's the only difference I see in the type of questions asked in the interview. Apart from that, it's the same thing. Nerve-wracking, tension, everything sits in there. And for me, I recommend, or maybe I don't say recommend, I may say consider reading this book before you attend any interview, because I find this book very useful, because this one talks about career management, how to search for jobs, and also what to do after you attend the interview, and what sort of questions you have to ask in the interview when given an opportunity. So it's a very good book, and it gives me motivation to do the interview better. So whenever I get a call from any agency or a company, I refer to this big book before meeting them face to face. Hope you like this video, and this is the information that I would like to share. And if you have any other comments or any other interviews that you have attended, please let me know in comments. I will come back with another topic. Until then, bye. Thank you.